and metal. So there's a good range to complement the type of tile that you may have.
Sure. Is there one size of join like that?
No, there's 3 different sizes. There's a 6mm, a 9mm and a 12mm.
Great. What are we using today?
We're using 9mm because we actually have an 8mm thick tile.
Ah, right, so it relates to the tile.
Yeah, so with the adhesive and that, this will fit nicely into this particular tile for us.
Lovely, okay.
Okay, so Gemma, we just need to offer this up here.
Okay.
Okay, and as you can see there, I'm just going to mark where the end of the tile is here.
Okay.
Always take into account 2mm, so don't cut the tile, the trim the full length.
Oh, right.
Just literally come in 2mm, because when we put the other piece here, we need to take into account putting some grout in that gap, especially if this is going to be an area that was getting water on it.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so we've got
so 2mm in.
From the edge. So we've got that mark there.
Yep.
So we can just transfer that further, just so it's nice and clear. Okay, Gemma, well what we need to do now is cut the trim with the mitre. So we've positioned the trim as so, and we've made our mark where we need to cut. Now what we need to do is make sure that we cut it from here, okay? Because this is where this is the mark that we made on the wall.
Yes, of course, that was the far end length that we needed.
That's right, not from here.
Okay, and not from there. Oh yeah, like you showed.
Just from there.
Okay, perfect. So that's where we held it up to. Great.
That's right.
So what's this called?
This is a mitre block.
Right.
Okay, and this is going to provide us with our 45-degree angle to cut the trim.
Okay.
Okay, now because we're framing on a wall, we need to make sure that the piece of trim is the right way up. Okay, so whenever you're doing a window, always make sure that when you put your trim into the mitre block, you put it sitting up.
Right. Okay,
now if we were to tile, well, we wouldn't be tiling a floor, but if we say doing some boxing in, okay, and we were tiling flat, you would always put the piece of trim into the mitre block flat, like so.
I see.
Because the angle ends up being, although it's 45 degree, the angle is very slightly different in terms of how the trim fits together.
Sure. Will we need to do that on the flat section of our? We
would have to, yeah. But for here, a piece of trim needs to go into the mitre block, standing up effectively.
Yep. No problem.
So I'm going to position. Just hold the trim tightly in place. Okay. Okay, and our line here.
Yeah, I see it's lined up.
With our junior hacksaw blade. Okay. As you position the blade across the two 45-degree slots.
Ah, and they hold that exact 45 degrees for you.
They hold the blade in place.
I see.
And then all you need to do is just adjust the trim slightly, just to make sure that you've got it just on the top of your line, like so. Okay, then first of all, always pull backwards.
Why is that then?
Because the teeth on the blade, are actually when you cut, the cutting actually takes place when you push forward.
Oh, right.
So if you pull the blade backwards first, there's less resistance, and it will start to make a little mark and a very little cut. It will just make the cutting that much easier when you're starting off.
I never knew that. There we go. New piece of information. So, pull it back first. That's going to score it, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, you may need to do that a couple of times.
Right.
So we do that, and then come back, and then do it again. And then gradually, you'll be able to start.
Ah, there we go.
Now, it's a slow... Just do it slowly, because obviously you're just holding the trim with your fingers. Yeah. So you don't want it sort of rocking around and everything. And you want to get a nice clean cut.
Need a nice tight grip on it, I'd imagine.
So gradually there.
Can you get mitre blocks where it will hold it in place for you?
Yeah, you can do. In actual fact, on this one here, if you had like a workman type table or whatever, or an old table, you could actually screw this into that table.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that will hold then you haven't got to worry about not only holding the block,
yes,
and holding the trim.
That would
make it a lot easier.
That'd be a good idea.
And the last little bit is just to twist this last little bit off, because sometimes it just breaks away. Yeah. All we can do is or you can just put it back in the mitre block and just cut that last little bit off.
Get it off. Okay, brilliant. So now we've done that, I guess we need to do the opposing piece. Yep. That's also going to fit, and you do it the same way, but the opposite angle.
That's right, yeah.
Great. So my turn to have a cut now. I've marked up the opposite bit, so I'm going to cut it the opposite angle, like I said.
That's right, yep.
In here, like so. Thank you.
Blade.
Okay, so back a couple of times, you said, didn't you?
Yep, that's it.
So back.
That's it, back a couple of times.
Back.
Hold that for you, just there you go.
I'll start getting through it. Oh. Yep, right, I can feel it going through. Yep. It's a little bit stiff. Okay, right through. And I've got to that awkward bit at the bottom.
Okay, well that's fine, just bring it out.
Okay, there we go.
Now if people are wondering, I mean, like we've mentioned, you can just...
You can wiggle it off.
Or we can just use a pair of scissors.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, and just literally, obviously mine, just bend it out the way.
So, yeah, okay.
Okay, and then just literally...
Snip it there.
Just cut it off.
Or don't.
Yeah.
Yay! There we go. Perfect. So let's have a look at our two pieces together.
Okay, this is a piece we cut earlier.
Double check that the angle works.
So let's put that there.
Okay. Brilliant.
Oh, I got the shakes. Look at that.
And there they are.
Absolutely perfect. And with the 2mm gap, once it's on the wall and the grout in there.
Look perfect.
Will do.
Great. So our first piece of edging has gone up.
Yep.
We know that they fit beautifully together.
Yes.
So when we come to put our tiles in just here, what do we have to be careful of?
Okay, well, there's a couple of things. What we need to make sure that we do is that we don't place this tile that's going in here flush into the piece of trim.
Oh, right.
Like
you don't
so.
push it right in.
Don't push in. What you need to do, because obviously what will happen is when the adhesive is behind the tile, it'll push the tile a little bit out anyway.
Of course.
So we need to make sure that this piece of trim is almost flush with the front of the tile.
Okay.
And also a couple of millimetres gap.
So if we don't leave that 2mm gap, what could happen?
Okay, what we need, the reason for that is so that if we push it tight in there, water can get behind. So if this was in a shower area or over top of the bath, water could still seep through. So the grout will provide that waterproof seal.
Of course, that's why you need your grout gap there. So how would we fix this onto here?
Use the same adhesive that we've used for the rest of the room. So what we would do is put the trim in place. Put a bit of adhesive on first of all to hold the trim. Put your trim on. Remember to leave your approximately 2mm gap.
So you need the 2mm gap just at the top here as well.
Yeah, same principle again, so we can get some grout into there.
Of course, okay.
Now, if your trim moves around while you're doing this, don't worry. You can just slide it up and down a little bit. And then what we're going to literally do is put the tile into place with the adhesive. Back butter in a situation like this because you can't get your trowel in.
Yep.
And then we would put our tile in place like so.
Beautiful.
Put it around.